Okay. My name's Glenn Downs, and I'm going to do a presentation on hardware. I know everybody's so excited. But it does affect all of us in some level. There are different kinds of hardware, and they are used for different jobs. Button socket, hex head, indented hex. It's a little bit smaller, it's for tighter spaces. Socket head, this is what you put an Allen key into. 6-point and 12-point, that's where you would use your 6-point or your 12-point socket. This is usually found in automotive. You won't come across that too much. This is a anchor for concrete, for holding down shelving and things like that in industrial applications. A carriage bolt, this goes in wood. The square underneath the head allows it to bite into the wood, so you only have to use one wrench to tighten it up. Here's another application where you would use this concrete screw, but it's an acrylic tie, and you put a stud into it, and it hardens, and you can tighten it down just like concrete. There are different grades of hex cap screws, and it's important to understand them because the strength difference, the tensile strength, varies greatly from grade 2 to grade 5 to grade 8. 60,000 psi, that's pounds per square inch. So if you have a little 1/4 inch bolt, it doesn't consist of a square inch of surface. So it's really going to be far less than that. You'll need something that's stronger, like the SAE J429 or grade 8 hex head cap screw. You'll be able to tell the difference. If you don't see anything on the head, it's probably good for putting together a play set or IKEA furniture. I wouldn't do much else with it. And these parts are rated by the American Society for Testing and Materials, the ASTM, and the Society of Automotive Engineers, SAE. A lot of their grades correspond to each other. There are some grades that are not ASTM or SAE approved, but there's charts where it lists them together. So an ASTM A307 or an SAE grade 2 it falls under the same category. You will see ASTM A307 certified hardware in 150-pound mechanical connections like bolt flanges and things like that. But there's usually a grouping of them. It's not just one, and they are approved. It's not an untested part like you may see with a blank head like that. Grade 5, the strength varies greatly here. It depends on the size, the diameter of the bolt. They're rated up to 4 inches in diameter. You'll see this in automotive and maintenance applications. Grade 8 you'll see in automotive and maintenance applications as well. That's why SAE and ASTM grade both of them. You also have metric grades. It's a whole separate animal. I heard in elementary school that all we were going to see is metric, and you really do see that in automotive, but not so many other places. Concrete anchoring. You have mechanical anchors, gas and powder actuated, and adhesive anchoring. Mechanical anchors like this one function by you drill a hole, you beat it in with a hammer, and then this clip right here, when you start to tighten it, actually grabs the concrete and it bites. Gas and powder actuated, it fires in like a, just like a bullet. There's a gas or a casing with gunpowder in it, and then there's a nail that's separate, but it fires into the concrete. And adhesive anchoring. This stuff hardens, if used properly, just as hard as the concrete. There's acrylic and epoxies. You can tell the acrylic because it has a smaller second part. Epoxies, the tubes will be equal sizes. Acrylic hardens in cold weather quicker than epoxy. Why does it all matter? It matters because of safety. If you don't pay attention to the grade, a bolt you're using and a part fails, you could imagine the consequences to that. This is all from one accident right here. This is 26 tons of concrete on top of a car. According to the NTSB's report, the wrong type of epoxy was used in suspending these concrete pieces right here to the roof of a tunnel in the Big Dig in Boston. You can see right here the anchors slipping. These are additional anchors that were slipping in other sections of the tunnel, and some of them are out almost an inch. In the industry, it's believed that another factor was the fact that the holes weren't cleaned prior to the epoxy being injected in them, so there was concrete dust preventing it from adhering and actually lubricating the hole with that constant downward strain. Tips for staying safe. Follow directions. When you're putting something together, you really do need to follow directions, especially if it says to use a torque wrench. Use a torque wrench. Check the specifications. If there isn't a torque specification, they exist, they're out there, and they're standard for bolts. According to the ASTM and SAE, you'll be able to find those. Make sure the parts are clean. If there's oil on a bolt and you're told to torque it to 90 pounds per square inch, and you torque it to 90 pounds per square inch with a thread locker or an oil on it, you're going to over torque the bolt. It's probably going to fail. I know for a 90 PSI half-inch grade 8 bolt, it requires 47 pounds of torque versus 90 when you use a thread locker. Don't reuse worn parts. They get stretched, they get microfractures, and they fail at a much higher rate. Best thing to do is just hire a professional. If you have questions for a 24-hour screw or question, call a screwing expert.
Thank you.